Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. If this is your first video, hi, I'm Arlathia. So for this one we have comic page 15. We are moving right along. So this one, I don't know, this top one. I can't tell because of my chicken scratch sketching. So this is my guess, based off of what you just saw of what was happening. Some of it I did come up with. So the first three panels, yes, they were supposed to be that way. I changed the posing a little bit. The bottom two panels, I just kind of threw in there because I was like, the way I have it set up, I need things to go in a specific order with like specific panels on a specific page. So if I had added two other panels in now, it would have messed stuff up. So the last two panels on here, I just kind of threw in there just to help with that problem. Um, but yeah, so this right here, what I'm sketching is Arlathia using the elements. One of them is she's using earth. I just wanted to kind of incorporate that because I was trying to figure out how she could get right away from them for a minute. Because the way I have it set up. So I was like, let's just use an element to kind of, disorient him, if you will, was the purpose. I realized later on that I made her tail too big, but I figured because it's supposed to be like behind her, like away, but I figured if it was like behind her but was coming back forward because it's curling, it would make sense for it to uh, be a little bit bigger. So that's why I did that. So I was like, we're just going to go with that. So I figured that made a little more sense just to have it curl back forward. I also feel like it kind of helps with like the line of action. I don't know how proper this is. I just kind of came up with this out of my head, like I usually do. Uh, so that's just what I was going with, because to me it just made sense to do it that way. I try to do perspective a little bit with her arms and her legs. I think the legs turned out better than her arms, because I was trying to figure that out. I realized in a minute that the arm has three parts, not two. So I go back and I fix that because I was like, why does that look funny? And I'm like, something doesn't make sense here. I was doing three originally and I was like, wait, no. But then I go back and I'm like, oh, wait. Yeah, so there is when I kind of realized I need three parts of the arm, not two. But because you got the shoulder, the bicep, and you got the forearm and the hand. So I put the forearm in there like it's supposed to be. I mean, I think that's like okay with the way that looks because I knew it's like because she's being essentially like, throwing herself back. Her arms are back in the air, so it makes sense for them to be smaller. While she builds up the element, was the idea. So, but I think overall her line of action does make sense. Some of this I'm learning. Like I don't do a lot of action poses, so some of it I'm gonna have to figure out as I go. Or we're just kind of gonna guess. But I think overall, for guessing, this was not a bad attempt. Like, I think overall it's actually, like, okay. Her little chain thing was kind of interesting, because I was like, I gotta have them moving, but it's like they have to be backwards and upside down. And no, I didn't turn my page around, because why would I do that? That's too easy. Give myself a challenge, and we're just gonna keep the page right side up. That's why I did that. But I think her legs do make a little more sense than the arms do, but I do need to get better at perspective. So that's also why like I'm gonna try and do more semi-perspective drawings like this to help. Because it would just make sense if I did, I think. Just so I can get a little more practice, and I think if I do more, I'll figure out better as I go what I'm supposed to do and create better lines of action. So this is just the marker. This is actually real time right here. I just did it real time because it took me like 3 minutes to do, and I just decided to do the trees because I don't do a lot of just like regular, what is the word, landscapes. So I was like, let's just color it because it was super quick, and I was like, oh, why not? Something a little bit different than just like the character itself. Because I don't like to show the background because I'm terrible at them. But I actually kind of like how this turned out. Again, because I was thinking, because flame is one of the elements, like you see him right here on the side and on the right. Because he's coming to see everything. He's coming to see the action, is why he's back. He also wants to find his home. If you saw that page, it was a little bit ago. It's on here if you need to see it. But because he is fire, so of course he's gonna light it up. He's gonna be, have light around him. So I was actually because of where the trees are, I was like, well, how's that gonna work with like lighting? But I figured because flames there, it would make more sense to have everything kind of like lit up around him. Like a little ball, kind of just have the, because that's what I was trying to do too. Like I'm also trying to like do better at lighting too. So it's kind of like an attempt for lighting. But I actually kind of like the way I did it, like overall, even when I did the colored pencil, I think it actually looks really cool. I think overall it makes sense. Do I need to do a little more practice? Yes. But I think for the most part, it does make sense what I do. Because I was also like, I have like little holes in the trees, because I'm also trying to get better about doing that, like making like actual like, trees. Was there's holes where his like flame is still coming through to kind of show his line of action of him coming. So I try to like make the holes like lighter around them, just to kind of have a little bit of his light showing through still. But I was also like trying to have it to where it's like the light's coming from the center. But overall, I think I did fairly okay. Like even at the top up there, I have it lighter because there's more light coming from up there too. So I was trying to think about like where's stuff gonna go. I might look like I'm just putting down color, but I was trying to figure that out. But I don't think I did too bad. Because again, I'm actually like trying to think about this stuff too, of like what would make sense. Yeah, I color outside the edges all the time, but I'm like, I color the outside black, so I'm like, it's gonna get covered, so I'm like, I don't really care. It looks messy now, but eventually gets cleaned up. That's also why I like doing the black around the outside, because it just makes it look better and looks cleaner. Love my black. But like even on the tree, I was trying to do the same thing too, where it was like have his light coming through. I mean, you don't see it here, like eventually you will at the very end, but even like the very background, I actually kind of tried to have the light, like the light source stuff coming from flame. Well, I guess you can see it right there, but my hand covered it. Um, but I still tried to have the light source like pointing at everything to make it still lighter. So, and then here, I do have the light coming from up above because I figured that's where the light source would technically be coming from. Um, but I think overall this panel turned out well when it came to coloring. Flame did take me a minute though because he's got a bunch of like little parts, but I think I went back to just doing 3 colors for him because of that. I didn't want to have like I didn't want to use all 5 colors because I was like for his size with how small he is, it wouldn't work. So I'm also trying to judge that better too about like how many colors per panel I need to use. Because if it's something small, 3 is just better, so it's not like super dark. Because I'm trying to not do that anymore. Which I think I was doing pretty okay here. Like there are dark parts on him, but like because he's leaning over, you wouldn't really see it because of the shadow. So I thought that was fine. I do go back and kind of make everything a little more red, not yellow. Because I kind of realized I'm like, well, he is technically red. Like it's fire, Technically, fire is red. That's later on. I go back. I don't do like a dark, but I do add it back over. I don't think I did too bad on the tree. I think the tree is kind of interesting. Because, yeah, I probably add a little too much shadow on the lower branch, but that's okay. It still looks interesting. Right, and that's the point. It's supposed to be interesting looking. You don't want to have it just boring. But some of the panels I did use like 5 per character, and then others, like him, I'm only using 3. I just think it helps, and it's not nearly as dark as if I use 5. Because I do want to try and keep things light as possible if I can. It's not always a guarantee, but I do feel like just using the 3 colors helps. So you do use like the highlight base and then like the shadow color. Like, you'll see here in a minute when I start working on him, like now. I only use 2 here because most of it's like in shadow. But I just think it makes a little more sense because it kind of keeps it on the little bit of a brighter side. Uh, but it's still got, the nice transition between the 3 colors, especially when I do blend them out. So I think it helps. But yeah, so you can see here where it's going to be darker because he's in shadow, which makes sense. But then when we go to his like wings and stuff, the wings I did keep lighter. And I like it because since he is a living object, right? Like that's what fire is. It's living. It's not stagnant. It's constant like shifting and moving. The little spots I have on him actually work. Even his little fringes, I could not keep him the same to make it seem like he is moving. It wouldn't be noticeable. Well, like every panel would be different, which is fine because it's like that stuff's constantly moving. Like it doesn't stay the same. So I was like, that's my workaround. So it actually kind of works. So I have to go back and make sure everything is exactly the same. It can be a little bit different every time just to show it is moving. Again, it would not be super noticeable, but I think that is a nice workaround to make sure it's not exact same. Others, yeah, would kind of need to be roughly like not upon like close look, but upon like an overall look, it's the same. But I think for the elements, it kind of works that way to show they are moving because they're not like this is the form they take for now. They explain it all later. I don't want to explain it and spoil it. It does come about though about like why they look that way. Because when you go to that first panel where it actually like introduces him, that's actually kind of what he's really supposed to look like. If you need to know what I'm talking about, you can go back and find that page. I don't remember what page it was. Was it? It was. Let me see if I can find it. Because I have the video. Oh, here we go. Page 11. If you go look up page 11 in my little playlist I have, you can find it. And you can see what he actually looks like too. And like, I actually do like a semi-transition of him turning into this. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about the glare. I didn't really realize it until I was almost done and I said, oh, y'all can't really see much. But yeah, so you can see what I'm talking about where it's like most of it's like on the darker side and some of it's still on the lighter side just to kind of help. Because I was trying to figure that out. But I think overall he actually looks fairly bright. Here you can't tell that much, but when you get like a full view, like you'll see it actually looks a lot brighter. So I think just using the 3 colors actually really, really helps. I still use black in there for my shadows, however, the 3 colors just helps. It just makes it look better. Yeah, I just use brown. Is it gold? Yeah, I used the gold with the yellow. Because I don't know. I have like very specific colors that I use to shade other colors with. I don't really like to deviate from those unless I'm doing like the color pages just to kind of switch up a little bit. But, like, yeah, so very specific colors stick with other colors. Because I just like the way they look. Especially when I blend them out, they just look very nice. Because they go together and they blend extremely well. So it's just like a very nice little transition. But I feel like that's what everyone has, is that when you use specific colors all the time and you have like a set color palette, you use the same colors together. Because like they just look good. They work. That's just what I like to do. But every now and then I do try to add in like an extra color. I don't do it with my coloring pages, with my comic pages because they're specific. Because it's like they have to kind of follow along with one another. Unless it's like a different time of day, but I haven't gotten there yet. Well, like the regular drawings I do, I try to add in a different color. Just to kind of make it a little different. Because like I am trying to do like different times of day in some of the coloring pages. Just to change it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. Or like when I did my like little Enfield fox with my 3 emojis. That I kind of changed up a little bit because of the colors I shaded it with, which were just mostly blue and purple with everything. And I used like orange and yellow and stuff, so I was like trying to change it up a little bit. And I also had gray in there for the white. So it's like I'm trying to change it up a little bit every now and then, just not with my comic pages. Because we're not there. Eventually we will be, and then we'll have to change them up to make them match what's going on with like the scenery. But that's alright. We'll get there when we get there. And then I gotta figure that out. So that's gonna be really interesting. Because some of these will have some color changes eventually. We just haven't gotten to that point in time, but we're getting close. Because we're about to start getting to the little good bits in about 2-3 more pages, I think. Then it'll kind of really be exciting. This is kind of just more or less the build up, like the epilogue or the prologue. Prologue. Epilogue's at the very end. So, yeah. But we just gotta stick around for all that mess. But I try to. I'll explain more things as I go along. But overall, I think as a whole, the page turned out really nicely. And I do think because I am changing things up a little bit and like learning different things from coloring pages, it's just looking better. And I think it's starting to show, which is good. You want to improve, and I think I am improving. So definitely learning and we're getting better. Alright, and here is the satisfaction part of, you can't see anything right there. Oh my goodness, what the hell was I doing? That is A grade filming right there. Lighting is A+++. But yeah. So as you can see, I am getting a little better. I think I am, like as a whole, I am definitely like improving, I think, which is a plus. So I think the coloring pages are helping out a lot, and I have a lot of coloring books, so I'm sure I'll learn more as I go. Whew. Yeah, we're almost done with the Jurassic World one, don't worry. There's like maybe 4 more pages left or something. Then I'm gonna do like a recap video on all those, and then we'll start a new coloring book. I just don't know which one I'm doing yet. We might pick like a random one and just do that one. So I'm looking forward to that, because it'll be kind of nice to just do a different coloring book with like different subjects, not just like dinosaurs. I love my dinos, but I'm ready to move on. But we're getting close. Then we'll do something a little more exciting, a little more involved. So that'll be interesting for everybody. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do those. I might just do 3 colors and just stick with that, but we'll see what I decide. Because I think it'll be kind of interesting, but we'll see. Again, the glare, I know. I'm trying. Sometimes it's difficult because I have it set up right now. Because I almost need to just get like a secondary light source, which I technically have, and I probably need to start using it. They're just different colors, so I don't know how much it's going to affect everything. That's the only issue. I mean, I guess I'll try it and see what it looks like. It might be better. So that way y'all can actually see everything properly. But I'm trying. Oh, see, there you can see a little bit. Yeah, the glare, I couldn't get a good picture on this, but it's okay. Because we're going to bring it forward so y'all can see it better. But there's the first one. There's these. That's the only one I didn't show, but I was like, we don't need to see all that. Yeah, overall, I think that actually looks really cool. Yeah, I did go back and add the red in, just to help. Yep. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!